Hello everyone, it's Mr. Roddy. We are going to talk about the video notes on immigration. So if you could get out your guided note sheet real quick, that would be awesome. On your guided note sheet, if you could answer each of the four questions in 2 to 3 sentences, that would provide us a greater understanding of immigration. So those four questions that we're going to take a look at are describing step 2, the mental exam, describing step 3, the legal exam, talking about what the Literacy Act was, and describing detention. So here we can see immigrants being processed for their medical exam. Being processed for their medical exam and being entered into where they would get their mental exam screening. So here is the mental exam. So after you were checked out by doctors, you had to pass a mental exam. If the doctors marked you with an X or an X in the circle, the doctors paid closer attention to you. So you definitely want to get down that first bullet. If you got an X or an X in a circle, it meant that they paid closer attention to you. But what were some of the actual types of exams? Well, they would have you completing different puzzles, whether it's a steamship puzzle, a face puzzle, two matching puzzles. There were very different ways to show how your mental acuity really was. The most popular way to gauge a immigrant's mental awareness and education was that of the exam to draw a diamond. And diamonds were classified by how many years of education the immigrant who drew it had. So they were looking at how well the diamond was drawn, but also how many diamonds were drawn. So if you had 5 diamonds, but they were all off, then your level of education was much lower than that of somebody who had 40 diamonds drawn perfectly. Here we can see in these photos the immigrants themselves that are coming to this new country for them. So we can see different ethnicities, different genders, different outfits. We can see people waiting to leave Ellis Island. We can see the steamships that are taking them to Ellis Island to be processed. We can see their luggage here that is being processed as well. So the legal exam. In the legal exam, they would be asked 30 questions in a 2-minute time period. Then, once they answered those questions, they would be asked to produce $25. So imagine being an immigrant new to this country, not speaking the language, and being asked 30 rapid-fire questions in 2 minutes or less, as well as having to produce $25. Oftentimes, immigrants would have to work in their home country or receive money through the mail from their relatives who are here in America to pay that $25. Oftentimes, immigration inspectors would also take the $25 and never report that the $25 was actually taken for the processing fee. They would steal that $25. So if you did not have much money, then you had to stay until you could come up with the $25. So legal inspectors would force people to stay until they could come up with that $25, and they would ask to check your ID to see if you really were who you said you were. In 1917, the Congress passed the Literacy Act, which meant that any immigrant had to read a 40-word passage in their native tongue. So, here is the legal exam itself. Here are some questions that you could receive. What is your name? Have you ever been to America before? That was to check and see if they'd already been processed once and denied. Do you have any relatives here? If you did, that was a good thing, because having relatives meant that you had somewhere to go. You wouldn't just be out on the streets. Is there anyone here that came to Ellis Island to meet you? That was more for the $25 to see if folks could process the immigrant themselves, who paid for your passage. They did not want immigrants to be beholden to one another, so they didn't want slaves or indentured servants. They wanted people who are coming to America of their own free will. Do you have any money? And again, if so, let me see it, so I can probably take it from you. Do you have a job waiting for you in America? If you answered yes to that question, that was almost automatically a guarantee that you would not be admitted to the United States. If you already had a job waiting for you here, that meant that you were taking someone else's job who was already here. So there was a crisis in the workforce. We had too many workers and not enough jobs. So if a new immigrant was coming to this country and already had a job, that was not a good thing. Do you have a criminal record? If so, again, that would oftentimes cause folks to stop the immigrant from entering the United States. Here's a picture of the Hebrew literacy test that you would have to take if you were Jewish. So folks would have to take this Hebrew literacy test if you were coming into this country and were Jewish. Detention. So the highlighted portions here we definitely really want to take down. So detention on Ellis Island ran as high as 20% for all immigrants inspected. A detainee's stay could last days or even weeks. Others had to wait even longer, as they would wait for a result of a hearing in front of a special inquiry board in Washington, D.C. So some would even have to wait longer if they had to wait for that special inquiry to be processed. So, again, those video notes questions for your assessment. What I would like for folks to do is answer these 4 questions in 2 to 3 complete sentences on Google Classroom. And again, those 4 questions are: describe the mental exam, describe the legal exam, what was the Literacy Act, and describe detention. Those 4 questions will be part of a formative assessment for you. If we have a blizzard bag day, those questions and these notes will be part of that blizzard bag day also. All right, thank you so much, everyone. And again, if you have any questions at any time, please email me and I'm more than happy to help. Thank you so much.